Well, hello, welcome to June 21st, Tuesday, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. I do this almost every morning. I missed the last week or so, about a week and a couple of days, but I do it in my head at least. I do this to remind myself of my life objectives and principles, and to see how I did applying them to the day that I just lived and to plan for the coming day. So let's begin. Feeling much better this morning. So last week or so, I've been kind of a little bit out of sorts every day. Just not feeling well. Maybe it's because of my hernia. It's been giving me pain. I seem to have found a way to walk better that causes it less, but it's still there, still a problem. And I do have a pre-surgery appointment with the doctor today at 9 a.m. So there's that. Maybe there'll be some relief in the near future. Yesterday was a good day. I found myself doing something different with regard to work. I work from home, and given that that's the case, my boss requires that I send an email in the morning to let him know when I'm starting work, and then an email in the afternoon to let him know when I'm done. I always like to, add a little bit sometimes to the first email in the morning to explain what my plan is for the day. I'm pretty much left to my own devices. The results speak for themselves in terms of my performance. And then then I keep a log. I have a work log that I keep, and then at the end of the day, I hour by hour, minute by minute practically. And I take a snapshot of that and send it to my boss and said, here's what I did today. Since I came back from our vacation, I decided to do things a little bit differently, because I'm not sleeping well. I haven't been sleeping well for years, and I've discovered it seems to be related to work. I was hoping that vacation we took would have a chance to show otherwise, not show otherwise, the opposite of that, to prove that was the case if I slept better on the vacation. But then the hernia and the cancer scare, thinking that my hernia was a cancer, shot all that. I slept awfully. I slept very poorly. Anyway, what I'm doing lately, since I came back, in the morning when I send my boss an email, I'll lay out in a bulleted list, very explicitly, the things that I want to do that day, in detail. And then what I do is that I take that from the email and I move that into my work log as my plan. And then I begin executing those things. And as I do each of those things, I apply a timestamp when I started each of those tasks. And of course, now throughout the day, there's things that come up like email and other tasks. And if I take a break, and then I put all that stuff in there, 20-minute break here, whatever it is. I'm allowed a 20-minute break in the morning and then another in the afternoon. So that had an unexpected consequence of kind of helping ease my mind a little bit, because I start off the day less ambiguous about what I plan to do. Even if stuff comes up, this is my plan, and I sent it to my boss. My boss knows that that's my plan. If I can achieve the things I've bulleted out, then it was a good day. Because maybe that's part of what my problem is. It's kind of performance related, performance anxiety of a sort. I just realized this. I never had this sleeping problem at all, even the toughest times of my work career, when I was working from the office. Oh my gosh, revelation. Where's my pen? My sleep difficulty is because I'm working from home. I've had very difficult projects and very challenging times at work, especially since I first came back to America and gee, everything hung on the balance. You know, I was on probation. You know, not with the police, law enforcement, but at work. I was on probation for a year. I didn't feel like I was up to the job. My performance was, I just wasn't, I wasn't qualified for the job that I had. I've since made myself qualified, I think. All kinds of things. And I slept like a baby. It's because I showed up to work every day. And when I'm at work, I hammer it out. I mean, I remember they gave me a choice of where to sit, which cube, and I've always they've done this before too. There was a job years ago that I was one of the early employees, and when we moved to a bigger building, they gave my friend John and I the opportunity to choose our cubes. John chose a window cube. He's gone on to great things, by the way. I chose the worst cube possible right in front of everybody because I wanted everybody to see that I was working hard. I've got some, like I said, I've got some performance anxiety, or maybe an image thing, right? I wanted to, and I chose a cube where I had no privacy, where everybody coming and going into that office area could see me sitting there. It was, you know, what's more, and I've always, in every job I've ever had, positioned myself at work in my cube in such a way that my screens are visible to passerby. So also so that if anybody comes to visit me in my cube and spins around the corner, they can see what I'm doing. I've never been one to arrange my monitors to hide what's going on my screen because I work. I don't screw around, and I guess I want my boss, I guess I want the world to know that that's the case. And I've always slept very well through all those years. So now what I'm doing, so how does this relate to what I'm just describing? Well, what I'm doing now, since I started a few days ago, was I very bulleted list, very detailed list of what I'm doing. And then I send that to my boss, and I'm usually pretty good at achieving all of that. The only thing that keeps me from doing it is if I encounter a dependency that someone else needs to do, and then I might not be able to finish it. I think I'm onto something here. Two things. One, the effectiveness of clear communication for myself. The effectiveness for myself on giving myself a sense that I'm able to communicate the fact of my good work, because I do think I do good work. And two, my insomnia might be related to working from home. I do have the option to go to work, but it wouldn't do any good because nobody's there. So it would be in fact, it would be worse than here. Because we'd have the commute and everything. Hi, dogs. All right. Otherwise, it was a good day yesterday. The inspector came, the company that rents us this house, their inspector came and took photos of the inside. She said that she really liked our place, and which I hope was good because rents are on the rise, and I'm hoping that when our lease comes up, that they won't raise our rent if they really like us as tenants. Okay, let's do the good life. 7 objectives and 30 principles. Number 1, the first objective is to be always ready to die, just to have all my affairs in order, my relationships, and my life's work. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time, to not waste my time or kill time, but to be doing worthwhile things in my moments. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. These 7 and 30 that I'm relating right now, in fact, to work hard at them and to apply them. Next is to cultivate good emotional reactions, just to react well throughout the day to whatever comes, to not fly off the handle or to not take things not take things seriously enough, but to be in control. Next is to perform good actions, just to find a way to do good things throughout the day. And then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm being reasonable in my expectations and my applications. and then to just do one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, to not multitask. I almost said overtask, but that actually sounds pretty good. I mean, it describes better than multitasking. It's overtasking. Because sometimes you do have to do more than one thing, but you can't overdo it. Next is the 30 principles. The first of these is the principle of war, to always be fighting against whatever I think is true, and whatever anyone proposes to me is true that they want me to believe. 2 is the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and apathy. Is that right? No, I don't think apathy. I moved things around a little bit, and then I took a week off, and now I can't remember where I put things. It's like losing your keys. I'll have to look it up again. Reason is the instrument and the way of being, the application of my mind that helps me to have a more honest view of the world and to execute that aforementioned war. Next is the homunculus, a reminder that I do not have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. I call that the homunculus, an old word. Number 4, that is the Anchorhold, a reminder that my homunculus resides in, it's trapped in my head. Will never get free. Will die with me. Right up here. Then comes the home of good and evil, the suggestion that right and wrong are just mere opinions that we hold and maintain. There is no objective good or evil or right or wrong in the universe. Next is purpose. My purpose, 3, are 1, to be a good husband, a good father, and to that end, a good husband, creating a good family base and structure for my daughter. 2, to be a virtuous human being, pursuing the well-being of thinking creatures. And 3, to share the message of my book, going on the story in the Good Life Creed. Exactly what I'm doing right now. In a way, this video is part of fulfilling my purpose. In a way, it is that end. Next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces and falling to pieces, including you and me. Then the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature, living or not living. And it's good to know what that nature is so that we can recognize it and abide it. And then maturity. No, the pirate ride. I always skip there. I always stumble there. The pirate ride. Reminder that free will seems to be an illusion. Very convincing one, nonetheless. And then maturity. And the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. The effort that it takes to remember our successes and failures and strive to do better. And then the social principle. We're social animals, humans, beings. We need each other. And then public speaking. A reminder to be very careful about what I say, to choose my words carefully, in both writing and speaking, and to never ever gossip. And then temperance. This is a reminder to be very careful and circumspect in my consumption. That includes not just food and drink, but also work and my free time and everything. Just moderation. There are 3 sub-principles there too. These are suffering, because we suffer when we tell ourselves no. Simplicity, because a simple life is a temperate life. And apathy, whereas we can allow the things that are outside of our control to just be, not connecting ourselves with regret or upset or disappointment or even longing. Okay, next comes the thing called the horror show. Life is a chock full of horror, just terrible things happening all over the place. And then comes that which must be borne, and what we have to bear is the fact of the horror show, plus whatever responsibilities we've taken upon ourselves, typically whatever the consequences are of saying I do. Then comes the the home of good and evil. Good and evil don't exist out there in the universe on their own. They reside within us, right up here with the homunculus, who pencils them in chalk on the inside of our cranium. Not really, but you know, it's my image. Then comes distraction. We spend our lives distracting ourselves from something. Well, actually, it's a nothing. That is the next principle called the great indifference. The great indifference is the apprehension of a universe without God, an emptiness that exists that doesn't give a damn about us. He's incapable of giving a damn, and permeates most of the universe, it seems, and leaves us all alone. Excuse me. So we distract ourselves so we don't have to see that or not see it, as the case may be. Excuse me. Then comes the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else or be anywhere else or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, right here, right now. Right? Who? Then comes the Path of Wildness, which is a way to break through one life into a new life, to create a new chapter in life by ascertaining where we want to go next, or which direction we might want to go, or ascertaining choices, and then collecting facts, and then making a decision. And if we can't make a decision now, think about it a little more. But don't give ourselves time forever, because forever comes, forever will be done. At least our lives will be done. So make a choice. Make a choice. And if you need to inform yourself of your gut, ready to realize later that maybe it was the wrong choice. But it was the right choice, because we made a choice. And it was a right choice, because we chose the path of wildness, which is easy to find, by the way. It's the course of a stream. It's leaves blown in the wind. It's a beast's track through the brush in the direction of our first inclination. And if you're an adventurer, then at first inclination usually is not the beaten path, the beaten track. Next comes the risk of avoiding risk. This is the ability to attend to the surface level risks of life, of education, career, home, family, and security, while also attending to the deep risk of finding ourselves, creating ourselves, so to speak. It's tough to do both. Usually, people can succeed more in one or the other. The adventurers tend to have a less secure, less structured or standard living. Those that go after the sane and sober life tend to maybe miss out a little bit on or maybe a lot, on finding themselves. It's tough to do both. Some pull it off. I haven't. I definitely went for the adventure life more or less. And I did fulfill the other thing. I am a family man, but I could have done better. Apathy, eh? Okay, next comes sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview which relate to believing things that are untrue, being untrue, or being a gossip. In particular, these are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. Do any of those things and we are damned in the here and now. Complete oblivion is next. After we're dead, there's nothing to follow. There'll be no afterlife. That means we're not going to see Grandma again. We're not going to have a chance to make up for any sour words that we may have parted with others on. And there'll be no final justice. So we have to attend to those things in the here and now. Reconnect with those that we've lost our connection with, and reconcile to the best of our ability and promote justice. Next is the Great Life Adventure. This kind of relates to the risk of avoiding risk, that deep level risk. The Great Life Adventure is the thing that attends to that deep risk, that sends us deep. And I recommend one or more of those in our lives, particularly from between the age 25 and 30. That's the sweet spot to do that. Take the diploma after you get your diploma and give that to their parents, and off you go. Come back in 5 years, bloodied, bruised, broke, and beaming from ear to ear from the adventure that you had. And you will have created something in yourself that you can carry with you that becomes part of your identity, kind of like a little grain of sand that an oyster can turn into a pearl through life. Likewise for you. It's harder to do the older you get. Get to my age, and if you haven't done it yet, that's a challenge. Okay, next is the season of philosophy, which is a time to record what we've learned along the way. Keep the pen and paper handy. I keep them on the desk over there, always ready to write. I'm kind of in a slump now, but maybe I'll get it back on it. Next is, after the season of philosophy, is the bullseye aim. Reminder that we strive for the mark but usually miss. Then the uphill climb. Reminding myself to steadily trudge up, up, up all the time, every day. Stopping to look at the view, but not digging a hobbit hole into the side of the mountain. It's easy to do. It's tempting as we get older. The next is arena and utility. Life is an arena, and these principles are like tools that we hold on to that help us to achieve our objectives. You know, you're like a gladiator fighting in the arena with, a sword and a mace and shield, and you use these things. So keeping these principles honed and clean and ready and in the mind makes them appear almost magically as you need them, rather than having to rummage through a case that keep well, okay, where's that apathy? Hold on, life. Well, I get a little apathy. No, it's too late then. You need apathy to appear in the moment, to recognize the road rage driver, and to say, instead of engaging and getting mad, just apathy. Okay, I'm going to pull to the side. I did that coming down the mountain from Idlewild this weekend with Yumiko 3 times. I just got the young men right behind me riding my ass because I'm an old man driver. First turn up, blinker on, safely turn to the side. Apathy. It's right there. I mean, there's nothing I can do about them. Okay, next is, oh yeah, I was reading utility. Next is the bullseye. No, nothing is enough. This is like the extension of on temperance. Whereas temperance says consume less. Apathy, nothing is enough suggests paring it down to the bare bones. What a thing to do. I need to apply a little more of that with my eating. I can afford to lose a little more weight. Next and last is the principle of fun. The true end of life, I guess, right? Even in the Bible, I recently discovered a Bible passage that God seemingly describing that as the chief end. I added it to going alone. A reminder to have fun in the here and now, but also to remember to enjoy looking forward to the future and enjoy the retrospect of the past. I need to do better on all of those fronts. All right, now, what about today? Well, I don't go to work until 1 p.m. because I have a doctor's appointment at 9 a.m. But as soon as I'm done with this and I'm done petting my little dog here, I'll I'll start the upload, go over, I'll read my Bible, my chapter, start up the computer, set my out of office message, and then go downstairs, I'll feed the dogs, feed myself, and then I'll get ready to go to the doctor. Get the address plugged in, figure out how long it'll take me to get there. I'll also, and then I'll read. I'll read through the morning. Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Be safe, but not too safe.